University of Missouri St. Louis College of Education podcast. Hello and welcome. My name is David Stouffer and I get to be the recruitment coordinator for the UMSL College of Education. Each week on this podcast, we will meet an innovator in the field of education. We will spend some time getting to know them and learning about their work and how it can help you and yours. It is my sincere hope that this podcast will be a source of encouragement and support as you work to continue impacting lives as an educator. My guest today is Jonathan Stokes, editor-in-chief of the UMSL Current student newspaper. Jonathan became a Triton in 2023 to complete a degree in communications with an emphasis in strategic communication. He plans to work in public relations after graduation. In his free time, he enjoys live music, eating at restaurants, or spending time with his perfect dog. Jonathan, welcome to Triton Talk.
Thank you for having me.
So before we go any further, what's your perfect dog's name?
My perfect dog's name is Kimbra.
Kimbra.
And actually, I named her after one of my favorite music artists. And also her nickname is Kiki, after one of my favorite actresses, Keke Palmer. So we call her Keke Palmer. I'm so sorry. We love a pun. But that's my perfect dog.
That's great.
Yeah.
What makes your dog the perfect dog?
She actually was not the dog that I was hoping to adopt. I was going into an adoption event to find this other dog who came out of the car like a bat out of hell. It was not going to work. But she came up to me and my husband and just laid on her back. And it was like, okay, well, you chose us.
It was a done deal.
Yeah, so she decided before we walked
That's
in.
great. Sounds like the perfect dog.
Perfect dog.
Well, that is awesome. Well, Jonathan, I'm interested in getting to know you a little more. Tell me about your background so we can get to know you a little better. Where'd you grow up?
Sure. So I grew up in St. Louis, South City, all day. And I was thinking about this when I was on my way here, just thinking about how my upbringing totally guided me into this path. I went to grade school at St. Roch, which is a Catholic school. It's right by the Loop. And one of the focuses, I had a teacher who was getting a master's degree, and he was studying small group thinking, critical thinking with young adults or kids. And so we were the guinea pigs. And so because of that, he turned us all into talkative, thoughtful brats. And so, of course, here I am trying to make a newspaper work. It's all his fault. But
absolutely.
It was a great experience. And then from there, I went to Bishop DeBerg High School and had a wonderful time. Became a theater kid, terror to the rest of the society, whatever. And then I went on to give it a shot at different community colleges. I tried a lot, but it was more realistic for me to work at the time. Mm-hmm. So I then went into working at Anheuser-Busch, which was a great place to work. I was a tour guide at first.
Oh, wow.
And so I got to just have fun.
Sure.
And I got to learn a lot about St. Louis and a lot about people. And so then that experience came to an end. I went to work at another St. Louis institution at Panera, another great spot. And then came 2020, which was not so great.
Yes.
And that is how I ended up over here at UMSL. I decided that since I wasn't furloughed, I was very jealous of everyone who was furloughed. I need a paddle for this boat just in case everything goes awry. So I decided I wanted to get a degree, and so here I am.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Are you involved at all in the theater here at UMSL? Do you still perform? Do you still do anything?
No, I have terrible stage fright, but I love the arts, you know, and I like to be a patron of the arts.
Oh, there you go. You don't impress me as somebody that would have stage fright. You just have.
No, I'm very shy.
Very shy. Yeah, right.
Tell.
Well, why did you ultimately choose UMSL?
Realistically, there's a few, reasons. One, I had already been at community college, so I kind of got used to a certain payout for education, and that was a great decision for me. And so UMSL being an affordable school was the main reason I was interested in coming here. And then also I saw myself in the student body, in the advertisements, in the people that I talked to beforehand. Because I looked at different schools, but I wasn't really represented in a way that made the schools attractive enough for me. So coming to UMSL was the absolute right decision. I get to be around all these wonderful, brilliant people who are so diverse and interesting and doing all these different things. I also appreciated that the College of Arts and Sciences was the biggest, the most populated school that is on campus. And so I felt like there would be tons of support for people like myself who are non-traditional students who'd be able to hop in at maybe a weird time in their life, and we'd have support for, or people who are experienced in supporting people like myself. So
Sure.
And
sure.
it worked out.
So high school theater kid to community college to UMSL, and now editor-in-chief of The Current.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
Well, again, the critical thinking was really a setup. It was just downhill from there. But something I didn't mention in high school was another aspect of the theater experience was that I was a critic. They have a high school theater critic group and I guess institution called Cappies. And so me and a small group of kids from different high schools would go around to the different plays and musicals and review the shows. And so we learned how to write, we learned how to properly critique. We worked in teams, and these people I never met before. I didn't go to school with them, and that was a great experience for a 15-year-old who doesn't know anything about the world. And it was a great use of my critical power. So that kind of started it. And then the internet exists as well. And so I used those same skills to write blogs and get interested in podcasting and things like that. So it was a natural progression to come and get involved in media. So there is a through line of students needing to speak up for themselves, speak up for other people, share their experience. And so naturally I was like, well, I got to get involved in this because it's here. And again, it was a small but mighty team when I joined. And really, Mackenzie Wilson, who will be graduating at the end of the semester, kind of breathed life into The Current after some dormant years. And we're now building on what she created. And so it's nice to be part of the lineage of all these wonderful editor-in-chiefs that have been before.
Sure. Your role with the paper as, I say paper, do we still call it a paper?
I call it a paper.
Okay, good. We can call it a paper.
Yeah.
I'm old enough to remember when I'd wake up on a Saturday morning and walk out and get the paper on the driveway and sit in front of the TV and watch, read the news.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's changed now. So how does the Current exist now in different ways that it how has it changed, I guess is the best way to ask. How has it changed over the years and the way it provides those services?
Sure. So we used to be a printed paper. I can only imagine what that was like to be a student, meeting your deadline, getting it to print on a certain day, whatever year that was, that sounds wild to me. That would not work nowadays. We're online, thecurrent-online.net. We don't need it to roll off the tongue. We need it to roll into push notifications. But we post when we can. I like to publish stories on Mondays and Wednesdays, but also since we're online, we don't have a deadline. We don't have a specific day we need to be publishing. So I also really like that we're moving to this model of news when it's news, stories when they're done, type thing. And also, since we are a student journalist, there's also the student aspect of everyone's lives, and I like to keep that in mind. We are telling stories, we are doing important work for the campus, but also we're here to earn degrees and sometimes need a little time before that can come out. Yeah, so I think it's struck a nice balance, and I really like that it's online.
How long have you been the editor-in-chief now?
A couple of months.
Yeah,
wow. This is the first go.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
And what are your plans in your role with the Current? Are you going to stay in that role until you graduate? What are your thoughts?
I would love to, yeah. Well, I'll be here until May, unless something drastic happens. Maybe I don't do enough discussion boards. But if all goes as planned, I'll be here until May. And right now, my plan is to give the paper, at least this online version of the paper, good foundation, good structure behind the scenes logistically. We're trying everything we can, including adding audio and maybe even working with or UTV to work on video projects, things like that. Give it a good foundation for whoever inherits it. Truly, if everything was going my way and the world were perfect, I could trap 40 students here on UMSL's campus, and we could spend the next 4 years creating a media conglomerate and take over the world. But I'll settle for setting up some good structure for the future students and something interesting for incoming students to want to get involved in.
Okay. Where do you see the current going? You talked about how much it's dramatically changed over the years in terms of the style from print to online and the readership from students to administration and back to students. Where do you see the current going in the future, and do you see any changes coming?
Yeah, I would expect a tone shift in the stories that are told. I started writing for the current last year. And it was nice. It was a little bit of a softball entry into what it could be to be a student journalist. I started out doing tours of buildings and talking about things I hadn't seen before. And that was interesting, but not necessarily hard-hitting news. I expect, just with the climate of the world and politics and everything and what students are experiencing, I expect for that to start being reflected in the paper. I'm already seeing that now in some of the stories that we're publishing, and so I'd hope that continues. Something about being a writer, being involved in a student group, is that slowly but surely the people involved gain confidence and they start to trust their voice. And I'm really hoping that as we gain new writers and new editors to join the team, they feel more empowered to share their real story, to talk about their real, it might not even just be frustrations, but their real, joys that they experience here at UMSL. Share your story. You can write. I expect for the current to be real and honest, and also probably constantly publishing stories.
Sure. Does the current have the support of the administration here at UMSL? Do you feel like there's a good amount of support for what you're doing and in the community here at UMSL?
We have wonderful faculty advisors on our team. Dan Girth, Jill Alexander, they really embolden us to do our own thing, which I really appreciate. Outside of that, the people that I've worked with on different projects have shown great support. I can't speak for faculty administration's thoughts on the current, because we are the little engine that can and will critique things that they are in charge of, so I understand that. But I hope that within that, what they're appreciating is that the students are being honest, and they're creating student journalism, and that's what it's like. And hopefully bettering the campus with every story, even if it's something that maybe a certain administrator is leading and the students are having a hard time accepting, and it's a story in the current. Maybe that's a good test or opportunity to adjust things, and that's what I'm hoping that all of our stories can bring forth: an opportunity to better the campus, better student life, better operations.
So kind of a related question, do you feel like the current has access to everything you guys need when you're doing a story? Do you get a lot of pushback, or do you feel like you have access if you want to talk to someone in administration or talk to someone in athletics or talk to someone in student affairs? You feel like they grant that?
Oh yeah, I feel
awesome.
Maybe I'm overly confident, so but I feel like why wouldn't you want news about your department or your club or program to be shared with people? And so far, whenever we reach out, they say yes, and maybe I'm just nosy and aggressive, and they say yes because they have no choice. I don't know, but we get the story and we get the interview, so I appreciate
Here comes that Stokes kid again.
Right.
Watch out!
Like, oh my gosh.
Close your doors.
Right. Drink water now. But I do think that people, because UMSL supports students generally, I feel that the student organizations, at least ours, get support from people when we ask for it.
Well, that's really encouraging to hear, because
Yeah.
I would imagine that's not the case everywhere, but it sounds like there's a great relationship here at UMSL.
Yeah, and I also think we're baked into the fabric of this school.
Sure.
Since 1966, the current has been around.
Mhm.
It's part of what is going on.
Right.
So I would
Right.
hope that it's also just like a respect thing.
How many reporters and students actually work for the current in a capacity?
We are a small team. Right now, we have about 4 staff writers. We have 3 editors. We have a few contributing writers that are coming in and out, and we have 2 photographers. So the numbers do vary just because class schedules, demands on in life and whatnot. But we fluctuate between 6 and sometimes up to 12 people. I would love to have more. I know it's hard to commit to the current. It's hard to commit to writing 10 stories a semester. But one benefit of the current is that there is an opportunity to get paid out for your work per semester, which I think is a great incentive, just because one, you're getting published. 2, you're learning AP style, which is useful, especially if you're a communications major or really anything. You should know how to write in different styles. You may be asked to after you graduate. And then also you could get paid. So like, I don't know who's going to say no to $100.
So we don't have a journalism college here at UMSL. What
Yeah.
types of students typically become staff writers in the current? Is there a major or a college or a specific type of academic pursuit that kind of lends itself to someone who wants to write for the current?
The majors vary. Mostly the thing that unites us all is a personality type. Everybody's nosy. Everybody's really curious, and
Probably
I so
a good
appreciate
quality
that.
to have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I also, coming from community college where engagement is pretty low, understandably so, and then coming into UMSL and at first not being involved in any student organizations, I realized that a lot of UMSL students, because we're a commuter school, experience UMSL on their walk from the car to the classroom and then back to the car again. So the people who are involved in the current are people who are club people. They're the ones that are going to get the T-shirt and they're going to show up to the event and they are going to root for the home team and all that kind of stuff. And that seems to be the people that gravitate towards working for the current. And that's really cool. I always brag about it because there is an age difference. I'm older, way older than some of the people that are writing, and we are the same in the personality space because we care about being involved and we care about telling the stories that are happening around us. So I would say that no particular major comes in. You would think that communication majors or English majors would
Sure.
come in. But that's not true. It's just people who truly believe in getting to the bottom of the story and telling the truth.
So if someone is interested in becoming a staff writer or serving in any capacity with the current, how do they go about that?
Well, first, just email me at thecurrenteic@umsl.edu. Just shoot me a message and say that you may be interested. We have 2 meeting days to hopefully be able to catch people with our varying schedules. We meet Mondays at 11 a.m. till 12 p.m. in Lucas Hall, room 590. And then on Wednesdays, we have a workshop, which is a little bit more free flow. We work on stories, sometimes just work on homework, it's like study hall deal. It's more of a community building experience. And so far, so fun. We have a lot of people that just stop in and get curious, and hopefully we'll see them back again. And I hope that we can convince people to come join. You don't necessarily have to be a staff member. That requires a commitment. You have to write 10 stories a semester, which can be challenging depending on your workload. So I want to let everybody know that you can be a contributing writer and just submit a story. We'll edit it with you and get your writing up to snuff. And then if that story works out and we can publish it, now you have published work. And so when you're going out into the job market, people can know that you can write the email,
Sure.
write the newsletter, whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you graduate in May.
In May, yes.
And what's next for Jonathan Stokes?
Something that I discovered is that I don't know anything, and I definitely can't tell the future. So I'm not going to try. It'll just make my nose bleed. But I would love to work in an industry that does good for the world. I'm probably going to be selling packaged products of some sort, writing copy on the back of dog food or something. That's fine, as long as it's healthy. But, I come from more of a practical experience because I've worked in corporate and I've done these jobs. And the way I look at jobs is it's to fund my groovy lifestyle. So I know that I'm not going to become, someone who's fully ingrained in whatever they do. I just want to take all these wonderful skills that I've learned, and I feel like I've learned so much at UMSL so far. I want to take these skills and hopefully get into a place where I can craft my own destiny at that company, create new things as I'm there. So
Sure.
Where that will be, I don't know. Who wants to hire me? I'll take it.
So you find a magic bottle with a genie and you have 3 wishes. Which would you wish for? Editor-in-chief of, a major journalism organization, or performing on Broadway in Hamilton or something like that?
Oh, I would never get on stage. So I'll be editor-in-chief. Though journalism is changing.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting. I think that's another reason why I'm really passionate about having at least the student voice, because Riverfront Times in May went down, and that broke my heart. Now it is a link farm for ads, and it's depressing. There's so many local stories. I know that it's hard for young people to care about the news, but read the news, because there are so many local stories that otherwise would not have been told. Justice would not have been brought to these people if it weren't for publications like the Riverfront Times and those journalists that are there. And also PBS, I watched Donnybrook. I like that stuff.
It's fascinating, it really is.
So I'll probably be in a space like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and for those of you that don't know, Donnybrook is not a person.
Right.
It's a news show on Public Broadcasting System,
Yes.
Channel 9. Check it out. It's a very informative and very enjoyable, a very enjoyable show.
Yes.
Well, this has been very enjoyable, Jonathan. Thank you so much. I have no doubt that whatever direction you wind up, it's going to be somewhere very special and impactful.
I hope.
Thank you for the work you do here at UMSL, for the work you do with the Current. It's very exciting, and I can't wait to see where life takes you. Thank you for being on Triton Talk.
And thank you for having me.
I am honored that you chose to join me today for the University of Missouri St. Louis College of Education podcast. I hope you'll join me next time. Till then, I'm David Stouffer. Thank you for the work you do. Never forget, you are making a difference every day.